What's up, guys? Alrighty, so let's just go into this next video here. So this one, I'm going to show you how when I connect myself to the system, it increases the power of the system because I'm providing a ground. Okay, so check this out. I'm probably gonna have to lower the volume. Come on.
Okay, so part two.
Alright, so let's just fast forward here to this part that I want to show. It's probably around right here somewhere.
Working the black light, it's hard to see, but if I connect myself to it, maybe it'll light up a little brighter. Can't really see the black light.
So you can't really see anything in the dark, but you see that bulb right there that's not lit, not the purple one, but the light bulb. So I'm gonna pick it up, and when I do, it's gonna turn on, and it's only got one wire going to it. And I'm just touching the outer housing, the ground, the part of the circuit that's grounded, and it comes on. So as you can see, with me touching the top of this bulb, it's brighter. When I let it go, it goes dim. And then I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna touch this little bulb, and you can see it lights up with orange. The plasma is flowing from the element to the outside of the glass to my fingers. So over here on the table, I've got a bunch of meters. This one right here is a non-contact meter, and it's going off just continuous. And the voltmeter is picking up half a volt in the air, just sitting there, not even grounded. And this is picking up my amp meter is picking up 5.5 amps just right there in the air, just right there. So I grab the multimeter and I ground it to myself. I touch the negative contact, and you can see on the meter on the screen that it's already picking up 2 volts in the air, just floating around in the air. And off the pickup coil connected to this volt bulb, I'm picking up 150 volts AC. 150 volts from the coil that's wrapped around that bulb right there. That coil is open on one end right there, and the other white wire goes down and connects to the end of that bulb, and I'm picking up 150 volts right off that coil. And off of a different coil going to this bulb, I'm picking up 108 volts, 107.5 when I touch it to it. 107 volts off that little coil right there. No, I'm sorry. That little coil is going to this bulb, and I'm getting 58 volts off that tiny little coil. 58 volts. So I do a bunch of measurements off that little one. Off that little coil, I pick up 92 volts. It's drawing a little bit more of a load. It's lighting the LED. When I connect myself to it, it gets bright. When I let it go, it's dim. So I took a bunch of readings everywhere. On the other side of it, it was 92. This side of the coil is 85 volts. There's a difference in potential there. It's higher on the other side. So on the coil that's wrapped around the bulb, not on the open end, but on the end that connects down to that other bulb that we read 150 volts on this end of it, I'm reading 125 volts. So where is it picking up the extra 30 volts from, or 25 volts from, down at the bulb? It's only running from here down to the other bulb. Where is it picking up that other 25 volts or 24.2 volts? Where is it? How is it getting higher? Because it's consuming, so it should be getting lower because it's lighting those bulbs. So the voltage should be dropping from the coil going down to the bulbs, but it's actually increasing. And that's something that I haven't figured out yet, on a technical basis, you know. Up there it's 128. Down here, it's 150 or 148. So it's increasing. The voltage is increasing for some reason. This little pipe just sitting there on the table is picking up 50 volts and sending it down the line. I've got a wire connected to it. That's where I was pulling the plasma from. And it's a little lower down there because it's not really consuming anything.
Let's get a rating.
So it even works on a analog multimeter. Ground myself to one side. It's hard to do one-handed. You can see it's already lifting the meter, the needle. It's already picking up voltage in the air. And when I connect to the bulb, it jumps up to 150. It's on that scale, and bam, it jumps up to 150 volts. It's on a 250 scale, so it's jumping up to that 150 volt range.
What this one reads. Shut this off, turn it on again because it turns off
and
periodically.
What I'm going to show now is the amp meter. It's picking up 4.5 amps
5 amps
in the air. Just sitting there, 5 amps. Because that clamp meter around the end is forming a loop. It's a coil. It's an antenna. So if I switch it to the 40 amps scale, it registers 0.09.
Sorry. 0.09 amps.
0.09.
Turn it back to the 40 amp scale.
Turn it up the scale, and it picks up 5 amps. 6 amps.
5.9.
So,
6 amps.
you know, what's going on with
What am I
that?
reading on this wire?
I don't know. I didn't take a lot of readings
11 amps.
on the 40 amp scale, just the 400 amp scale. I didn't take a lot of readings, but yeah, so I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how those meters are designed, how they're supposed to work, anything like that. I don't know. So the one scale was 5 amps. The other scale was 0.09 is what it was picking up. So we'll divide that by 0.09, and that gives us 55.5. So really what we can do is we can do 6,000 divided by 55.5. Oh, whoops. 55.5. And that's 108. 108. So that would mean that 108. That would mean that it's on the low side. It would mean that there'd be 108. Huh. It would be 108 watts. 108 watts. Is that right? If it was on the low scale? Let's see. Is my calculations right? No, it's not. It was 200 amps on that first run. 200 amps is the reading I was getting. But if I switched it to the other scale, that would be 0.9 instead of 200 on a 5 amp scale, which is a 55. So divided by 55, that's 3.6. So 6,000 volts divided by 3.6 is 1.6, is 1,600 kilowatts. 1,600 is what it would read on the low side of the scale. So the high side of the scale was reading 15 or 16 kilowatts, whereas the low side of the scale is reading 1.6 kilowatts. That's still a dramatic increase in power from an 18 volt battery. That a little 18 volt battery cannot produce 16 kilowatts of power or 1.6 kilowatts of power. It can't do it. But that's the calculations that I'm getting. So I added a coil. I added more wire to the coil that wraps around the bulb. Now it goes all the way to the top and it goes all the way to the bottom. Well, the top is kind of open. I just put the little piece on top just for shits and gigs. And I mainly extended it down all the way to the base. And I read the output of that on my voltmeter, and it gives me 1,000 volts out of that. And so I'm running it in series through this bulb into the primary coil of this microwave transformer, and out of the secondary I'm going into this other transformer, because what I noticed is that and then the secondary of that transformer connects to these bulbs, connects to one end of this bulb and goes down and connects to one end of that bulb, and then that bulb connects to that bulb and the other end is open. And what I noticed is that when I'm out of power, I can connect a transformer and I can get more power, because the power coming out of the bulb, coming out of the antenna that's wrapped around the bulb, goes to the microwave transformer, and it goes to the primary of the microwave transformer, the primary coil, and it powers up these 3 bulbs right here. This long one, this one in the middle that's shorter, and then this other one that's even shorter than that. It powers those bulbs, and then it even goes through and connects through that little tiny bulb and then up to the primary of this transformer and connects to the end of this other bulb that I have set up here. And then it goes down and connects to that high pressure sodium down there. And that's all the power I can get out of it on one linear run on that coil. But the secondaries of those transformers that I'm connected to, the secondaries can power more stuff, just as many things. The first transformer that you can see on the left there, it's connected to 3 6-foot bulbs. I think they're 6 foot. No, they're 4-foot bulbs. 3 4-foot bulbs. You know, that's a lot of power that it's consuming there. And it's not able to do it off of the one coil. It needs that transformer to amplify the signal and send it on down the line. It's one of the things I learned. So I'll fast forward here and just show you this thing running. It's powering all 4 bulbs on the left, and it's powering these bulbs on the right all the way to the end. If I connect myself to it, it'll go all the way to the end. And you know, they're just sitting on each other. They're not actually physically connected. Well, they are physically connected, but not with like a wire with a tight binding connection. So I take the bulb in my hand and I look for more power. Look for where there's more power at. Because when I bring it close to the bulb, the main transmitting bulb, it lights up without even connecting to anything in the system. And I can check for where there's more power. Because where it lights up the brightest, that's where most of your power is. And if I connect to the center tap of that coil that I have, my main pickup coil, it lights it up all the way, but it also pulls power away from the other bulbs. Because I have a direct connection to ground. My body is the ground, and so it's pulling power away from those bulbs. As soon as I let it go, it'll restore power back to those bulbs.
As I let it go.
So it just restores power. And so I can use this bulb as a instrument to hunt around for where there's more power. You know, there's no more power on the primary side of this transformer. There's nothing on the core. I'm touching the core. There's no power there. But as soon as I get to the secondaries, it lights up. I just tried to connect to the primary side, and there's no more power available. But as soon as I connect to the secondary side, to that extra coil, it lights up without taking any power away from the primary side of the system. The secondary side has more power. Very interesting thing that I learned.